Welcome to our Memory Book Working with Portraits live webinar. This afternoon we will be focusing on organizing class portraits and creating class pages. The information I will be covering can be found on our Memory Book manual under the Design and Creation tab starting on page 150. This webinar will be approximately 30 minutes. Once you receive your link for your portraits from your photographer, you'll want to go ahead and send that to their customer rep, and then they'll send them back to production and we'll get their images uploaded for you. And you'll want to do that probably after retakes, and then that way the pictures the parents want to use or anybody that was missing on picture day will be sure to be included. Might make your job just a little bit easier. Once we get them uploaded, you'll find them here under the Create tab in the Image Library. Over here at the left, you'll see a tab that's called Portraits, and if you click on the arrow, this will expand any of these categories over here, and this is where you'll find your folders. When you send us the link, you want to tell us how you want those uploaded. If you're a grade school, you'll probably want them uploaded by teacher, so you want to make sure that that information is on the spreadsheet or the index when you send it in. If not, you may want to go back to the photographer and request that index be sorted by teachers. If you want to double check your classes to make sure everybody's in the right group and their names are spelled correctly, you want to go up here and you'll click on the folder, go up here, PDF preview, and when you click that, it's going to open a PDF of all the kids with their names. So then you can either save this or you can download it or print it, and you can pass it out to your team and or your secretary, maybe somebody that knows the students or even the teachers. They can go through and mark any corrections. If you go in here and organize your portraits before you try to put them on a page, it'll make things so much easier because then you're not going back and forth and back and forth. Sometimes the photographers don't get the kids in the right group, or they don't spell their name correctly, or maybe the kid's name is listed as their formal name and they are maybe called by their middle name or a nickname. So it's always good to go through here and try to organize and make sure everybody's names are spelled correctly to begin with. So I'm going to be working with the Smith Kindergarten today, and let me make my view just a little bit larger. So right now I'm going to ignore any duplicates I have in here because I want to show you once we get them on the page how you can go back and correct that. But if you'll notice, this little girl here doesn't have a name. So what you could do is, if you're missing a student, you could go ahead and take their picture and crop it down and then upload it to their folder that they're in, the class, and then you'll tag the image. Now, a tag means that whenever the picture was uploaded, we use the index, and so a name is associated with the picture. So when you put it on the page, it's going to have the name bring over into the text box, just like the images. So it makes it really nice to build your portrait pages. So I need to add a name to this picture here. So I'm going to click on unidentified, create a new person, and I'm going to give her a name. I'm going to name her Sally Adams. This other information here isn't absolutely necessary. If you wanted to, you could mark it, put kindergarten, and save. We're going to click done. And if the information doesn't update right away, if you'll click on another folder and come back down to it, then you will see the correction that you've just made. Now, another way that you can correct names, I've noticed here that this little girl, her name is Kyla Fields. Well, it actually needs to be Kayla Fields. So when you go here to the information, you can click here and edit name and correct it here. But I'm also going to show you how to use the coverage report. So the coverage report is basically a spreadsheet of all the kids that have been uploaded with their names and their classes. So you'll go create down to coverage report, and I'm going to sort this by grade. So here's my kindergarten kids, and I'm going to look for Kyla Fields. So to correct her name, I'm just going to highlight her name and type in the A. And there isn't any place to save this. It'll automatically save it when you're finished with that. You can also go down through here and you could just check for duplicates. So if you clicked on last name, you'll see there's several Applegates. You can check to see if they're in different classes or their first names. So if they had their first name and their last name the same, you might want to go back in and double check to see why there's a duplicate there. So once you've made your corrections here, you can go back to your image library, go to your folder you're working in, and if you'll notice here, her name's been changed. Here we go. So there's two ways to edit the names. You can use whichever one is easiest for you. Now, if you notice that a student shouldn't be in this group, you can always click and drag the image over into another folder. So I'm going to put this little Stephen Douglas into another folder. I'm going to put him in the other kindergarten class. So the class you can drop it in will turn dark, a dark gray, and you can let go. It's going to ask you if you want to move, and you can say yes. Okay, so I have all these guys organized. So now I'm going to put them on a page. We'll go to the Create, New Page Designer, and we'll go to the page that we want to put them on. Now, when you come over here for the first time, you're probably going to come up on page 1. So you can navigate to the correct page here with your arrows side to side, or in the drop down, you can choose what page you want to go to. I'm going to use this template that I've already put on the page, but if you're starting from scratch and you need to find templates, you'll go over here to the left under Designs, and you're going to go down to Portrait and All Portraits, and this is where you'll find more portrait templates that you can use. So let's just get one over here that we can practice with. Get this one over here. I don't want to save any existing content, so I'm just clicking no. Now I'm going to go ahead and save this. I'm going to go down to the Flow tab, and I'm going to go to the class that I want to put on this page, Smith Kindergarten. It's telling me here that I have 32 images and I only have 20 positions. So you'll want to have enough image boxes and text boxes over here for your class to flow into. So to adjust this flow panel, you'll go up to the top toolbar under Flow Options. You can click your little thumbtack and that'll make it stay over here. Now to add columns and rows, I need to make these images a little bit smaller. So you'll go here to Portrait Dimensions, and I like them a little bit proportioned. Oops. And then I'm going to add a row, and I'm going to add another column. Now it'll only allow you to add columns or rows if you have enough space. So there's quite a bit of margin here for these names. You can make that smaller or larger. Let's see here. Okay, it's not letting us. There we go. We're making it smaller so we can add another column. There we go. I think I've got 36 now. Let me go ahead and save this. Okay, so I have 36 positions and I have 32 portraits. So we're good. So anytime that maybe you're using templates from last year and you've expanded this section here, you've expanded your flow so that you can edit a name or maybe delete a picture or something. So you would go over here and you'll need to grab another flow panel and put it on the page. And then you'd use your flow options here and you would adjust it to fit what you need. Now we also advise you to choose the largest class or use the largest class for choosing a template, because if you choose your largest class and make the images the size you'd like them to look nice on the page, then you can save that template and use it throughout the book and all your portraits will be the same size. And that'll give you some um, continuity through your whole book. Now, if you wanted to add any drop shadows or change the text on these flow panels, you'll just click on the flow panel on the page. You'll go up here and you can change your font. And I like to make it a 10, makes the names just a little bit larger. You also want to keep in mind what kind of background you're putting on these pages. You may want to, if you've got a dark background, you'll want to make your text fill white. Of course, it's not going to show up on my white background, but you would want to make it a color that is going to show up on whatever color background you have on there. If you wanted to put a stroke on the pictures, you'd go up here to your stroke. You could choose what color stroke to put on it. You'd shape stroke and red. So you can do some um, different effects on it. You can also go over here and round the corners on your flow panel, on your flow options. You can round the corners on your image boxes. You can change the shape of your image boxes. So that's how you would adjust those. Okay, since we've kind of got the gist of that, let's go back over here. This is my flow panel, and I only have 25 image boxes. So I'm going to increase my rows and my, okay. So once I've adjusted it, I'm going to save it. And I'm going to go over here to the left and I'm going to choose the class I want to put on this page. And I'm going to have it be first name and last name. I have 32 images. I have 36 spaces, so we're good there. And I want to start on page 6 and I want to stop on page 6. Now, if I had a class that needed to go over to the next page, I'd have to have a flow panel to accommodate them. And so the two flow panels would have to be enough for all of the group. So 36, I could put 16 on this page and 16 on that page if I wanted to split them up to add more pictures. So once we have the page started and the stop page, I'd put 7 in there if I was going to use, if I wanted them to flow over to page 7 too. So I'm going to click flow. First, it's asking me to save. It thinks I made a change. So whenever it puts the pictures over here, it deletes these extra boxes here that I didn't need. And if you'll notice, here's my teacher. She's way down here in the group. I'm going to show you how to change her category or her title so she can be at the beginning. And then I noticed I have these two little guys. They're duplicates. So if you find something like that or a mistake, or say you want to come back and add a student, you're missing one, then you'll go ahead and you'll choose your class you have over here in the category in the flow panel, and you're going to click reset. And that's going to take all the images out of these image boxes and take the names out too. It automatically saves when you do that. So now we can go back to our image library. Go back to my folder my kids are in. And then let's fix the teacher first. So I want her to come in first. I'm going to click on the little I in the corner for the information, the image details. Then I'm going to go to the Details tab here. And under Preferences, I'm going to change her to Teacher. Now, if you have a teacher and then assistant, you would choose Teacher and Assistant. You would choose Assistant for anybody that maybe is the helper in the class. So if you had a couple of assistants, you could name them both assistants or title them both as assistants, and then they'll flow in alphabetically. Now, if you have maybe somebody you want to come in at the end of the group, you'd click Other. But it goes Teacher, Assistant, Student, and Other. I'm going to click Done. And that won't show up in this area, but her type is Teacher. So when we flow them onto the page, she'll go first. Now, these two little guys, we're going to pretend those one's a retake. We would need to decide which one we're going to use in the book. And then the one that we aren't going to use, we click on the image details here. And we would click under Preferences and say Don't Use Portrait. And Done. If you mark it Do Not Use, and instead of deleting it, then if the teacher or the parent says, hey, I hope you're not using that ugly picture of my kid, I hope you use the better one, then you can always come back in and change it around if you figure that out or find that out later. So once we've made our changes here, we're going to go back to our page. And if you had added pictures to the group, like you had a retake and you found it and you added it to the group, then you would need to double click on the flow panel on the page. And then if you'll notice here, you can turn these eyeballs off and on, and that actually just turns it off and they won't flow into that. So if you added students to the group, a picture, it's going to think you don't have enough spaces, and it's either going to have you fix it, or you're going to maybe there's a chance that you'll miss a student. So, and also if you wanted to be designy and maybe your left pages, you wanted these first two image boxes blank or the first three, you can turn those off. And I've got, go over here to the right group, I've got 31 images and 33 positions. So I could actually turn two more off. Okay, so I've made my adjustments. Oh, there's the teacher at the top, so she's going to come in first. And then here's the kids all alphabetically. And I still want it first and last, page 6, and stop on page 6 and flow. And there's the kiddos on the page. Okay, so some of these image boxes or flow panels have the names underneath. So whenever you flow them onto a page, the kids onto the page, sometimes the names have a red X in it, and you aren't able to adjust that while it's still in the basic, the flow panel mode, which means that the 11 or the yellow boxes is around it, the dotted line. That means they're all joined together. And so you would need to make your corrections after you flow your pages. I'm just going to put a few on here and give you an example. I'm going to choose a different class. I know I don't have enough image boxes here. So I'm going to start on page 10 and I'm going to end on page 11. And I'm going to make the font just a little bit bigger so it'll actually cause the red X. Oh, of course it didn't do it. But let's say you had a really long name and you had a red X in the box. Let me just do this. Oh, still didn't do it. If you had a red X on your text box, your name, you would need to expand the flow on these. And basically what it does is it breaks everything apart, and then you have individual image boxes and text boxes. So you click on the flow panel, go up to your flow options at the top, I understand, and expand. And then all of these text boxes are all individual, and so are the image boxes. So what you could do is either make your text box longer or wider. If you had one simple correction here and you didn't want to go back and reflow the whole page, you could also do that to make a correction. But I would do that the very last thing before you're getting ready to submit your pages. I wouldn't do it while you're actually building your pages, because once you break those apart, they're no longer flow panels and you can't flow into those. You'd have to start from scratch, add a new flow panel on there and size it to what you'd need it to be and things, or add a new template on here. So it would just be easier to do all your flowing in one step. And then before you submit your pages, you could go in and make those individual corrections. So I think that's everything I need to cover. Do you have any questions? You can type them in the chat bar over here. I'll be happy to answer them. You guys are sort of quiet. Let me breeze over my notes here real quick. Okay. Thank you for joining me this afternoon. I hope showing you how to organize your class portraits will save you time when creating your class pages. Please email or call tech support if you need further assistance. We will be happy to walk you through the organizing and flowing process. Thank you, everyone.